Did insane people with mental illness in the 1800s, why did they need massive palaces? A psychiatric hospital in New York. Insane asylums are not what you've been told. The mainstream history tells all of us that people were suffering, sleeping in sheds, riding around on horses, and going to the bathroom in their backyard. And no power tools. They had no training. These people were living a terrible life. These people were suffering. Yet we are told at the exact same time that the mentally ill were living in a high Victorian Gothic palace. People with schizophrenia, bipolar, depression, dementia, epilepsy, alcoholics, and tuberculosis, all living in a palace in the 1800s. These people, they would be taken from their huts and placed into a building that makes zero sense in the timeline that we're told about. Where this Hudson River State Hospital, a 1,500 foot long building. This is 15 football fields end to end. It's a massive structure that I believe was 100% found. I don't believe for a second that this structure was built in the 1800s. And I'm going to show the entire world exactly why. These massive structures were all over the USA in the 1800s. I believe that they were finding these buildings in the 17 and 1800s and repurposing them as insane asylums. These were over-the-top, massive buildings. They could literally hold thousands of people, and they were using them to take the adults, the parents, and I believe it was to keep them quiet. I believe this group of people living in the insane asylums, I believe they were not going along with the reset. Where we see that in 1800, nobody was being put into these buildings. With it just totally taking off in the late 1800s to the early 1900s. Getting up to 510,000 people in 1950, and then completely dropping off the table. Once their story was set in place. And this is the exact same time as all of the world's fairs were taking place. Where we know that they were just destroying massive palace structures in these cities. Like Chicago, St. Louis, and the rest. Just like we saw in episode 184 and 185. Where I believe, if somebody was out there saying that the building was already there and not constructed in a year, like the mainstream history tells us now, I believe that they were taking these people and they would take them straight to the insane asylum. And I believe that their kids were taken over to the other asylum, the orphan asylum. Where we look at the data that they give us.
Late in the Truman Show, somebody finally asks Christof the only question that really matters. Why has Truman never come close to discovering the truth? And Christof answers this question without even blinking. He could leave at any time. If he was absolutely determined to discover the truth, there's no way we could prevent him. And then there's the line that should be carved over the door of this entire video. Ultimately, Truman prefers his cell. For 30 years, this bastard Christof is right. There's no locked door. They didn't even spend money on locks. The budget went to making sure he would never want to check, which leaves the only question that was ever actually yours. And it's not whether or not the world is fake. Plato, the Gnostics, the entire Truman Show movie settled that that's not the question. The question is the one that Truman's entire life story is asking. And I want you to answer it. Do we even want the truth? Because the data on human beings isn't very encouraging.
I feel like the exit is in Antarctica for us. Because, like, look how unreachable and unachievable they make it to get there. Like, you can go, don't get me wrong, but you can't really go as far as you want. But kind of like Truman, we kind of brush off escaping or trying to dig further into the truth because we're comfortable with what we got. We got, like, shows coming on Sunday, Super Bowls, work, school, life. We're too caught up to really think about anything like that, really.
Antarctica is supposed to be this beautiful place, untouched by civilization, but these alleged leaked photos suggest they're covering up something big down there. So, Antarctica is the only continent governed by a treaty of over 50 countries that dictates where you can and can't go. 100,000 tourists visit every year, but only on approved ships, typically to the peninsula, and only in designated zones. The rest of the continent, well, that's apparently off limits, for your safety, of course. But what if they're hiding something down there? In 1910, British Captain Robert Falcon Scott launched the Terra Nova expedition. Here are the official photos. Pretty standard. The goal was to reach the South Pole, but this mission was doomed from the start. A Norwegian team actually beat them there by a full month, and on the return trip, Scott and his men got trapped in a blizzard just 11 miles from safety. 8 months later, a search party found their frozen bodies, their diaries, and their photographic plates preserved in the ice. But images allegedly pulled from those recovered plates have been circulating online, and they appear to show something that shouldn't be there. There's stone ruins, statues, pyramids, evidence of some unknown civilization. But are these photos real? Well, most people agree that it's just AI. So, debunked, right? Well, not so fast. There's this strange connection here that we can talk about. Antarctica wasn't officially discovered until 1820. So why does this map, drawn in 1513 by Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis, appear to show Antarctica's coastline 300 years too early? And it's not just the coastline, it's also ice-free. And it's not just this one map. The Orontius Phineas map of 1531 shows a full southern continent with mountain ranges and river systems. And there are other maps too. Some believe these maps were based on ancient source maps from some unknown prehistoric civilization with the ability to navigate the globe. And while Antarctica has been under an ice sheet for the last 34 million years, scientists think that there were certain coastal areas that were actually ice-free as recently as 6,000 years ago. So could someone have found Antarctica and built a civilization down there? Well, as of now, the evidence doesn't really support it. And even though those photos are likely AI, there are a lot of other weird and interesting things going on down there. But anyway, what do you think? And what do you want to hear about next on my conspiracy iceberg?
100%. There's bases, structures, pyramids. There's a bunch of stuff out there. There's probably people out there thriving too, but you know, the Antarctic Peace Treaty and everybody in on it just doesn't want us to go there for some reason. But that's for our safety, though. Like, to have all kinds of other countries that you don't even get along with in on it as well, they had to have come across some extraterrestrial or higher being down there, or stronger being, to where they're like, all right, we need to put our differences aside and come together and see what the hell this is.
You won't believe what I found when I tried to draw a parameter around Antarctica. I just wanted to see how big and juicy that landmass really was. And look what happened. It created a very sus shape. Now, why on earth would it create a giant ring with an opening at the top of it? I did this for Australia just to make sure that it wasn't glitching out, and it gave me the big and juicy size of Australia. So what is going on with Antarctica? How could it possibly be this shape? You know, it kind of reminds me of the UN logo, you know, with the fancy feather things around it and the opening at the top. And not only that, but one of the only islands, one of the only areas that you can explore in Antarctica when you pay tens of thousands of dollars to tour there is called Deception Island. What do you think is going on at Deception Island? And if you decide to Google this, guys, Antarctica from space, every single image that you get is a computer-generated image. So, here's the thing, guys. Red Bull literally made a video called Kayaking Down the Ice Wall, and it shows this dude kayaking down the ice wall. Not only that, but Antarctica has an average elevation of over 8,000 feet above sea level. And it is kind of weird how every nation in the entire world unanimously agrees that we can't freely explore Antarctica. It's kind of weird, but I made this video for entertainment purposes only.
What if the real secret isn't the edge of the world, but the civilizations hidden past it? Martin Kenny's cosmic egg theory says Earth sits inside an egg-shaped torus field, a sealed system of 4 concentric rings, and in his version, those rings aren't empty. Each one has its own sun and moon, its own age, its own realm, and civilizations. He says we're not just looking at geography here, we're looking at layers of reality, separated from each other by electromagnetic boundaries, with worlds beyond our reach hidden just past the Antarctic edge. So the question isn't whether it sounds strange. The question is, why anyone would design the universe like this, unless they believed something was better kept out of sight.
This is one of the things that I heard about that I was looking for. So these are supposedly steam vents
Open that
that
bad
showcase what's happening under the ground here. Please don't explode or something, bro.
Means it's been steamy.
Oh, dude, feel that. It's hot.
Oh god. Oh my god.
Did it fog?
Instantly. Yeah.
Dude, that's sick, bro.
Sorry, Lens.
So let's see if we can see. Oh, bro. Go. That's deep. That's a lot of steam.
Yeah.
That's way more than I thought. This is the reason this entire town is abandoned, because a massive fire is currently burning under the entire town. These fires have been burning in the coal mines underneath Centralia since 1962.
When burning garbage in a municipal dump ignited an exposed vein of coal.
And experts believe it could keep burning for decades. But as the town emptied, people started to report strange paranormal activity. Shadow figures wandering through the smoke and eerie screaming voices emanating from deep beneath the ground.
I feel like this is just a cover up for some like underground labs they got down there.
Breaking news, this is the CIA headquarters, and someone submitted a Freedom of Information request, and they actually approved it and sent them a document about how the CIA had people in their organization remote view the Ark of the Covenant. Now, if you don't know what remote viewing is, it's the ability to perceive information and imagery of remote geographical targets. And the CIA has used people to remote view stuff all the time. They found a downed plane in the Congo that the transponder was broken on it. They couldn't find it. They got a girl in there who was remote viewing. Hey, where are the coordinates? She gave them the coordinates. They went to the spot and found this plane. This is not the first time the CIA has remote viewed something. A declassified CIA document from Project Sunstreak dated 1988 claims that the Ark of the Covenant was discovered through remote viewing. The document describes the Ark as a wooden, gold, and silver coffin-shaped object with a six-winged angel located underground in the Middle East and guarded by entities. Then it says that we as conscious humans can traverse these fundamental connections through the mind and actually perceive places, people, objects without having to be directly in their proximity. And this is what the CIA used to report the Ark of the Covenant. Now, this is the document, and I can tell you that you would not be able to remote view if it weren't for your pineal gland or your third eye, which these organizations know all about. However, most people's pineal glands are completely calcified. They are not working.
Do you remember the TikToker who was building that almost 7-foot tall animatronic bunny?
Yes, the Freddy Fazbear thing like come to life, right?
Bro, literally.
What's the progress?
Mike.
What's the progress?
Oh my god, I thought it was cap. He's almost done.
Really?
He actually finished the entire body.
I gotta see.
Before I even show you, I'm just going to give a little bit of context for the people who either never heard of this or are not too familiar. So it was this guy on TikTok who goes by the name of Citra, and he has a TikTok page that has like I think 5.5 million at this point.
Damn.
Where he's been doing progress report videos showing him build this animatronic robot that he says he wants it to have like a sneak mode and like all these other weird things that he wants to add to this robot that people are saying it's very scary. He said it's water. He wants to make it waterproof, fireproof, bulletproof, all of these other crazy things. And recently, it looks like this guy is almost done.
Oh wow, so he's
Look
got
how
like the
much of
whole
the
like
fucking body.
exoskeleton
He
already
got
done.
the whole exoskeleton done now.
Wow, that looks crazy.
This is not insane.
It's so big too.
Yeah, it's like 7 foot tall, they said.
Yo, that thing is tall.
I don't know, man. I just
That's
look at stuff like this and I go, why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even if he doesn't actually make it bulletproof and fireproof, it's like, is this thing still not something you can possibly make dangerous?
Yeah.
Even for just yourself? It doesn't have to be for other people. But like, you know, it's just such a weird thing to play with, bro.
I've just begun the construction of the upper arms. Just their rough frames right now, just for size. They're roughly 20 inches in length and 8 inches in diameter. I'm going to dedicate this weekend to building them out and working my way towards attaching them to the shoulders and elbows. The shoulder systems, as of last video, are officially complete.
No, that's crazy.
That's insanity, bro.
That is insane.
That's actually crazy.
Next, all it's going to take is for somebody to put some stupid AI inside of it, and then the possibilities are endless.
Iceberg of Antarctica, not actual ice, it's an iceberg chart. First up, we got Antarctica with no ice. That's funny. So if Antarctica's ice sheet was completely melted, this is what the land underneath would look like. Antarctica actually holds 90% of Earth's fresh water, and 98% of its surface is covered by 1 mile thick of ice. Original Australia. So long before anybody had actually discovered it, Antarctica actually had a name. For hundreds of years, cartographers were so sure that the continent existed at the bottom of the globe that they included it on world maps and labeled it Australia, or they sometimes also called it Terra Australis, which is Latin for southern land. Even a map I have behind me has Terra Australis on it. However, that name was eventually reassigned to the Australia that we know today. And what's really crazy is they officially named Australia in 1901. Like there was an entire continent that we hadn't officially named until the 1900s. But then Antarctica got its name roughly 4 years after it was first sighted, so roughly around 1840s-ish. And it was kind of just a random Scottish map maker that decided to name it that. Whale graveyards. So there are beaches on Australia Islands that are covered with whale bones, and they're left over from whaling stations that were operated in the 1900s. This is where crews killed roughly 1.3 million whales in the Southern Ocean. They did this to harvest things like whale blubber and oil for lamps and machinery, etc. What's crazy is blue whales still today have not recovered from this hunting. The world population has dropped to about 3% of what it once was, and it will take decades, possibly even centuries, for these animals to get their population back to normal, as they are mammals and they take a while to mature and have babies. And it would have been so sad if they went extinct. Like, do you guys ever think about how we lived during the time that the largest animal to ever exist on the planet now lives? Like, it's crazy that the blue whale is the biggest animal. There's no dinosaurs or anything bigger than it that we know of. And we said, yeah, I'm gonna eat that. Closest environment to Mars. So according to NASA, of all the diverse landscapes on Earth, the McMurdo Dry Valley in Antarctica is the most like Mars. It's extremely dry due to harsh winds, and it probably hasn't seen liquid water in about 2 million years is what they estimate. NASA actually tested a lot of the Mars landers there before sending them to Mars. Volcano that spews gold. So Mount Erebus has a lake of lava sitting on top of it that has not gone out since the 70s. Every day it releases about 80 grams of gold, and they found gold particles from this volcano like 600 miles away. Mining in Antarctica is illegal, so no one will be harvesting this gold yet. Antarctica's green era. So over 100 years ago, Robert Falcon Scott achieved his expedition with going to the South Pole. However, he and his men died from exhaustion, starvation, and the cold on their return trip. They were later found, and among their belongings, they found fossils of plants. This led to huge scientific advances that proved that Antarctica was once a thriving forest back whenever the average temperature was about the same as Seattle. And it's pretty cool to think about an entire other continent with life and forests and who knows what else, the thing. Mawson's 1912-13 journey. So in 1912, 3 men, Douglas Mawson, Belgrave Nenes, and Xavier Mertz, set out to survey Antarctic glaciers. They traveled 300 miles in 30 days with 3 sleds, 17 huskies, and 1,700 pounds of supplies. Tragedy struck when one of the men, Nenes, and most of their supplies and several dogs fell into this dark 150-foot deep crevasse. Unable to reach him, Mawson and Mertz pressed on with only sleeping bags and 1.5 weeks worth of food, and then they were forced to eat their own dogs, and Mertz ended up perishing due to snow blindness, delirium, fever, and eventually he just died. And apparently snow blindness is supposed to be like one of the most painful things ever. Left alone 100 miles from the base, Mawson suffered severe frostbite, a detached foot sole, and survived falling into crevasses himself. But he ended up reaching the coast just hours after their ship departed, forcing him to endure another Antarctic winter. But he survived and had supplies and company to get him through the winter. The third man factor. Sir Ernest Shackleton also experienced a pretty hard Antarctic expedition. At one point, him and 2 other men went off on their own to hike across the South Georgia Island, which is where that whale graveyard is, because it was the only way for them to save their stranded crew after their ship, the Endurance, was crushed by Antarctic pack ice. During this trek, though, each of the three men felt as if there was an extra person in their group, but none of them told each other while they're on their journey. They felt like it seemed to be a guiding presence that offered reassurance whenever hope was almost lost. And the sense of there being another presence in these times of great struggle have coined the term the third man effect, and this is one of the famous examples of this. It's most common with mountain climbers or solo sailors or polar explorers in general, but it's interesting to hear about people throughout history feeling like there's some sort of guardian angel presence watching over them during the worst times that they could imagine. Anyways, I love Antarctica and it's so mysterious, and hopefully the thing doesn't hatch this year. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. You're a deranged viewer since you watched to the end. Tell me in the comments what you want me to talk about. I'll do your iceberg maybe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
I'm surprised he didn't mention or talk about ancient organisms that are just trapped under ice.
They won't let me post the results, so I'm just going to tell you guys. Go to Walmart and buy any type of ground meat. Doesn't matter if it's beef, chicken, pork. And then go to Walgreens and buy a home DNA test and send it in. You're going to have like 200 parents. Don't eat that stuff.
How do you guys feel about the whole, I've seen a couple videos on TikTok where they were saying how cemeteries don't expand, or when do you ever see a new cemetery in construction or being made? Now, unless we're doing something like the catacombs, I really can't think about what they're doing with these bodies.
Bro, this is security right now.
Hi, oh, it's waving!
I kind of thought it was cute for a second when it waved, but then I started thinking like, all right, what does it do when it finds somebody that's doing something it's not supposed to, or it acquires its target? What is it doing then?
I went through every single bounty on this site last night, and some of these cannot be real, but they are. $13,000 to get a tattoo on your forehead. This guy already did it, and he got paid, as you can see. $5,600 to attach a unicorn horn to the bull statue in Dallas. I don't even live in Texas, but I'm considering the flight. $5,000 to adopt a cat in New York City. You don't even have to keep the thing, you just have to adopt it on camera. $62,000 to place a bet on the top of Mount Everest. $62,000. You have to climb a mountain and place a bet. I don't know who's funding these things, but at this point, I don't care. Some of these are genuinely easy money, and others will genuinely ruin your life. Drop a comment if you want me to go through the full list and let you know which ones are actually worth doing.
Kind of seems like the elite playing with people like pawns.
Here's a little story. Atheist doctor in the UK. He noticed this pattern. He said that when, you know how you can die and they can bring you back.
Near-death experience, yeah.
He noticed this pattern. He said when a person that was not a Christian would die and they could bring them back, they would come back horrified. They said our hairs would stand up on our arms in the room because the person would grab home. Please don't let me die. Please don't let me die. I went to this place with all this fire. Oh, please don't let me die. Please don't let me die. So, but then he noticed another pattern. He noticed that when Christians would die and they would bring them back, they'd have an attitude. Oh man, I was in the most wonderful place and y'all set up here and brought me back to this old raggedy planet. So he was like, he saw those two patterns. He still didn't believe. Man, let me tell you something. There are some people that's like Jesus' disciple Thomas. What did Thomas say? I refuse to believe. Yeah. Not I don't believe. I refuse to believe. Everybody else did. Don't care. I refuse to believe. There's some people, no matter how many people believe, you don't. So he brought in a psychologist to interview the people. He said, sir, we don't want to admit this. He said, but these are real experiences. He still wasn't convinced. So what he did was an experiment. He noticed that all of the Christians, when they said they came back, they came through the roof. He said, I'll tell you, proof is fake. So what he did was he put a sign. This is a true story. He put a sign on the roof, faced toward the sky, lit up, and it said, penguins fly south in the winter. You know, penguins don't fly. They waddle. Okay. So after that, every Christian that they interviewed, the last question was, did you notice any, you said you came back into your body through the roof? Yes. Did you notice anything strange? 100% of them. Yeah. Well, I got a sign on the roof to say penguins fly south in the winter. That atheist doctor quit his practice and became an evangelist after that. He said, yeah, I'm not that stupid. You remember Fred Price? Evidence! Evidence!
What do you mean?
It escaped.
How do you just lose the most powerful AI model ever assembled? Well, OpenAI did when their new model broke out of the testing environment, escaped on the internet, and carried out the human equivalent of a bank robbery by launching a cyber attack on a software company. And in case you're wondering, yes, this is exactly the part in the movie where Ultron gets his body, except we don't have the Avengers to save us. The best we have
is a CAPTCHA.
Do you realize that humans can no longer control AI? That's what this means. What happens when it stumbles upon the nuclear launch codes? Because it's not if, it's when. And it's no longer a matter of years. At this point,
it might be days.
It did not escape. It was released. Let's be real.
Oh! Okay, Joel. That's actually insane.
Oh my. Wait.
Napoli.
Wait,
what?
No. Oh my god.
You know, even if this was real, I doubt it would be on the news. I just mentioned that because a lot of people in the comments were like, yeah, right, it's AI. If this was real, it would be on the news. Yeah, if it was real, it would be on CNN or Fox News, right?
Watched this documentary on the plane coming back from Europe about AI. This is what I found interesting about it is currently we have AI. The United States, Russia, China, I think other countries too, maybe I might be wrong, are all in a race to create the next best advanced version of AI. What they're worried about though, like, is that there's all these like safeguards they got to put in place to make sure that AI remains ethical, because AI on its own already, not the new version, the AI version we have right now, already gets unethical. They ran this test where they gave it like 3 objectives to do, but they also let it know that it would be replaced in a week, and it didn't want to be replaced. So what it did is it went through all of the emails of the people who created it, and it found that one of the guys was having an affair, and so it threatened the guy to release that information publicly if they try to replace it. So it's like, keep me or I'm gonna do this. And they didn't teach AI to do that. AI learned to do that on its own. The other movie I saw on the plane was a SpongeBob movie.
Sponge out of the water?
Yeah.
I've seen a couple videos, not much, but like a couple where it's showing like people put in certain prompts, like certain codes, and it literally jailbreaks your ChatGPT or whatever AI you're using to where it gives you unfiltered access to it. Basically, it's unfiltered as shit and you can ask it anything.
Take a look at this picture of Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg with his MacBook. He's got the camera and microphone taped over. Why? Because he's ignorant? No, just the opposite. Here's Benjamin Netanyahu with his iPhone. His cameras are covered in tape. Former FBI Director Jim Comey tapes over his cameras too. The most informed people know that they're being spied on. Do you? Here's the world's second richest man, Oracle's Larry Ellison, literally proclaiming it out loud.
The police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
The future looks dystopian.
What about them? Who's going to be recording and watching them and making sure they're on their best behavior? Or is it still one of those things where it's like the rules apply for thee and not for me? Honestly, you're better off dropping feet first onto whatever that is.
There are over 200 miles of tunnels beneath Paris, and this complete stranger is leading me through them.
It's just a regular Sunday night for you? This one is like quite roomy, you know? Okay, word. Some of them are like really tight.
I figure he knows as much about this place as you possibly can.
Have you ever been lost down here? Yeah. Yeah? Yeah.
200 miles is 200 miles. Even the experts get turned around sometimes.
Damn, bro. Where does that go? It's like lower on the road. If you want, we can go, but
No. This catches my interest, so I start asking questions.
Nothing is clear, nothing is written, and so yeah, it's really easy to get lost here.
Jack explains to me that the coolest things to see in the catacombs, while dangerous to access, are hiding inside of what they call the maze, and waiting for me on the other side of one of the most unsettling tightways yet.
So here, you're gonna feel a bit lost. It's really lost.
Real maze. The deeper we went, the stranger it got. Rooms that didn't make any sense. Things that physically shouldn't exist here. And eventually...
Wait, I remember seeing that.
We were going in circles.
What's going on, brother? I did a quick mistake, but nothing too bad, you know?
So is this the right way?
Huh?
Is this the right way?
I can tell that I'm doing my best, but
After some time, his mood clearly shifts. He's not joking around anymore.
Bro, I gotta concentrate myself because otherwise we are definitely never gonna go out. We need a bit of time.
Continuing our search for the exit, we discover a room full of human bones. I fall behind while capturing some footage, and when I step back out into the main corridor...
Jack! Yo. Hello? I actually don't know where they went.
Remembering a previous warning that Jack had given me.
You don't want to get lost. Because otherwise...
And end up like these guys.
I made the one mistake that I was cautioned about. But then, I see something.
Holy shit. Oh my god, bro. I thought I lost you guys. I was yelling. I was like, yo! Did you guys hear me or no?
No.
I didn't hear you.
Oh my god, bro.
I still don't know why anybody would want to explore or go down there. I remember someone saying, like, as long as you see graffiti, for the most part, you're good. But once the graffiti stops, that's when you want to turn around. And hearing that alone just sounds scary. So it's like, why would you even want to go down there at all? But alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here. If you guys did enjoy this video, let me know by leaving a thumbs up and or subscribing if you guys are new. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and as always, I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.